All right, guys, midday here, May 11th on a Friday, and the final coin up for the day, per our members' request and the polling that we do every day, is for EOS to Bitcoin. Now, I've got a 1 hour chart of EOS to Bitcoin. And just for consistency here, we'll pop over here to CoinGecko. So you can see, I mean, clearly this is one of the majors, right? So market cap of 12.8 billion. We're doing all right. We look at our overview here. Of course, the scoring is going to be very high here, 75 here, 88 in the development community, very liquid. It's one of the bigs, one of the majors here. What's interesting now, with regards to EOS, is that typically you see most of the trading against Bitcoin. Here, see here, but the bulk of it is here. The majority, I should say, at least for the last 24 hours, is to the Korean won, then to the dollar over on Bitfinex, getting 20% of it. We don't get. I have to get more of them down here. We don't get Bitcoin until we get down on Binance here, where we're only looking at approximately 5% of the trading volume here. So we're going to look at it on Binance since we do have some volume there, but that's just kind of interesting to see. That's rare to see a coin like this, one of the majors, trading more volume to the dollar than to Bitcoin. Just an observation here. But nonetheless, so we're going to look at it to Bitcoin here. Now, I'm going to pull back out here. So let's go to, I'll go to a 4 hour so you can see. This was an important pivot, right? So if we look here from the absolute low to our high here, right to the golden zone, and we've ripped all the way, right? So if you think of that, so here's the upper target here. That would be the 1618 from this as a 1-2. So if we put the whole thing together in the larger context, we have a contender here for a 1, a 2, 3 going in, 4 and 5. So all of that, of course, will have to be in a larger degree here. So let's get that where it's appropriately identified here. So we have a contender here for a 1, for a 2. You can see just a couple of ticks through the golden zone. So we get a good 1, A, B, C into a deep 2, right where we'd expect it. First target's been hit, second, and just looks like perhaps here this is a front run on the 618. It's hard to say on the 1618, as that would be very close to it. But what I think is more likely here is that we're just putting in now a 4 wave here. We've got one more kick up here to complete the third, right? So this would be the third of, so we'd be here 1, 2. This leg here would be the 5th of the third. I should say it that way. So the 5th of the third right here. And this, I guess we can take this off. That's from a trade that didn't fill. So that's the move we're looking for to complete what would be our third, and then we've got a 4 and a 5 yet to come. So lots of upside potential here with EOS. Question is, where are we now, and do we have a low to work from? So if you just eyeballing this here, it looks pretty solid. I'm going to go back to the 1 hour. Reasonable anticipation here. This is relatively technical, but not easy. So if we allow for this as our 2, I'm playing this as my 1, 2 within my third. Here's the big impulse, right? So clearly that's our strongest wave. Working from this is our low. So I've got a 1, 2, 3, and it would look like the 4 is going in here. So if that's, let me take this stuff off here. So let's get that off. So if I've got 1, 2, 3, and potentially now 4, I'm looking for some sort of a fib relationship. So I'm going to pull from my proposed 2 low to my 3 high, get it right on there. There we go. So what have we done? We've just, well, this can be helpful here. So we've gotten into our oversold zone here. We're reacting at the 50. It's essentially, but look what's happening here. So you see this here, we get this little shelf of prior resistance stepping in here for some support. You can see it's to the tick here. Now we've had a couple of wicks go through it. So is this a 4? Well, it certainly is a contender. That's about as far as you'd want to see that 4 go. So I think that's a buy right now. So you can stop this video right now and be a buyer there because your stop is relatively low. So if we think about that, so if I'm just going to go, so assuming you're buying it right now, your stop is working on the assumption that the low is in. So there's no reason to have your stop beyond that pivot. Right, so we've already moved away from it. So so if anything, you're a slight bit late to the trade. Since you've had this reaction here, now nothing says that we couldn't go deeper. We don't know, but that's all you get, right? Is a calculation of probability and an odds play here. So if it's going to go deeper, well, I don't want to ride it down. I've got an opportunity to get in here right at the 4. I've got great upside, so my risk reward here, even if I just go to the first algo target, there's over 10 to 1. So that as I like to say, why would you not take that trade? Right? I mean, the risk reward is outstanding, and that's just assuming we get first target. So looking at that, now of course you could do a few other things. We could put a channel on this and line that up here. So one more thing, just suggesting that we'd be working on the assumption that we're trading with precision here. We're not allowing for a new low to go in, that our low is in here now and we're moving higher to complete this third wave here, and we're playing for the 5th of the third. So 10.8 to 1, I'll take that any day. So not a bad time if you're watching this right now, and check where it is. It's probably, by the time you see it, it'll be at least 20 minutes past when I'm recording this. So one to keep on your radar. Now, if you miss it and it moves too far away here and you're not comfortable with it, if we're going to go up here, we're not going to go straight. So one thought is let this shape as if we're going to get a motive wave coming off that low. Now, because it's a 5th, we could get a diagonal here. We could have a diagonal of the entire move because it's a 5th, but the 1 coming out of that 5th could also be a diagonal. So if you miss it by the time you see this, next retrace would be the opportunity to catch the 3rd of the 5th, right? So then the idea would be you end up with something along these lines, you get your retrace, and then you've got one more kick up to give you the 5th of the 5th. So again, I'd never worry. If you miss the absolute pivot here, don't fret over it or stress it. There's almost always going to be another retracement. Now, you could say, well, what about the last time it ripped up? Yeah, you're right. Sometimes you're going to miss them. Sometimes they're just too strong. This didn't give you much opportunity, at least on a 60-minute. There wasn't much opportunity there to play it. So sometimes you're just not going to be there for whatever reason. You didn't see it, or you're busy, or you're working, or you're away from your machine, or you can't sit here and watch it all day. So you missed it? Oh, no problem. What's the next retracement? Does it make sense? Would buying the next retracement make sense in the context of where the longer-term targets are likely to go? Right. If you miss the 2, you trade the 4. I mean, there's plenty of opportunity to catch the trade. Now, if you're watching this right now and this hasn't moved too far away, boy, I sure would be a buyer right here. I'm tempted to stop the video right now and go grab some. Well, grab some more, I should say. I'm long in this and like it, and we intend to be looking for opportunities to add and be longer term. This would be a longer term position for me, but I love the project here. But for just a swing trade here, that's about as good as you get. Why would you not take that trade? Right? There is no reason not to, unless you have some insight into some bearish development here. Yeah, we have air dry. There's also always variables here. The point is, that's what your stop is there for. If you get stopped out, well, we could go as deep as the 618. It's possible, right? Wouldn't invalidate the count. Kind of surprised me, but anything's possible. I mean, not much here, but very, very tradable. I mean, that's about as good as they get. Now let's go down. So I look here. So you got a couple of the variable here for my Elliott purists that really like to get clear labeling on anything that we see here. So one thought is you go, do I care? Pivot, 50, algo play. Do I care about the count? Well, people like to get things properly labeled. So there's 2 ways this actually could be labeled if we dig into this. So here would have been, if this was the 4, this would have been the classic, just the textbook A, B, C. We come down. We don't get it. We get this second leg. So what does that mean for us? Well, there's a couple of ways, right? And again, the old joke, 10 Elliotticians in a room, give them the same chart, you're going to get 10 different counts. I don't know that you get 10 different counts here, but you certainly get more than one. So we could look at it this way, and we could just have a flat. So a flat being a 3-3-5. So we could have this as an A, B, C into an A wave. We've got a nice 3-wave B here, and then we're putting in potentially now, I've got my C here. So you'd get a nice A, B, C. Now, is that C done? Well, that's when you're digging in here to see if you have a good a good 5 wave here, as we want to see a 3, 3, 5. So that kind of implies that there may be one more kick down here. Now, the other way to count this is that you would have, so let me carry that thought through so I can finish that thought. So if that's a BC, right? So if this is my B, then I have potential now for the, let me open this up here and so we can see it in context. So if this is my B, on the assumption that I'm working from an A, B, C here, and you see I get a nice diagonal here. Do you see what I get here? So here's my A. Then within that A wave, within the B wave, I get an A, a B, and a C to complete here. So I've got nice subdivision. I get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I get an ending diagonal, which I can allow for in a C wave here. See, here's the overlap of the 1. So I get a nice fat diagonal to give me the C wave of my B wave. Then I head down. So we could label this. This could be, is that my low there? 1, 2, 3's going in, 4, we get another 5. That's possible. Then this has to move lower. So this, the whole assumption would be this all moves lower. Now, granted, this is a way too high a degree here, so let's go down to something that would be reasonable here. So that's a possibility. We've got 1, 2, 3 is in. I guess this is my lowest. Well, could be a double bottom here. So we'd be looking for, if there's going to be one more kick, and this would be a tell, I'd be looking for here. This we've come to the 38, but I don't have great subdivision on a 60 minute. I'd want to see something a little bit more. Let's see if I can get this hot. So I'd be looking for maybe something along those lines there. If I'm going to get one more kick down, and I don't know that I will, but this is the possibility here. You've got one more kick down here, which would take us into that zone. Between, here's my 50, here's my 618, we're kind of smack dab in the middle. So I don't love that as much. So, but what's the alternative? Well, we could have a triangle, which is very commonly found in the 4th. That's where we want to look for it, as we don't allow for it in the 2nd per purest Elliott wave, no triangles in the 2nd. But so here's the alternate here, which we could have. So let me clean this up. You can see this, that would play into this low being in. Right, potentially being in. We've got the possibility here that we have a triangle, so we'd have to label it as an A, B, C, D, E. So I can make this case. I've got an A wave here, a B wave here, a C wave here, a D wave here, and maybe E is going in. Now it's you have a little bit of a, let me get this, if I can get that hot. So you might look like this. If that's solid there, so then we'd have a bit of a flag here. So God damn it, come here. So I'd pull it this way. So there's your D. This is not as high, though I might pay attention to that because I've got a higher high there. But I'm playing this as an A, B, C, so I want the D in here, down for the E, so we hit this lower parallel here. So you could pull it this way on the assumption that we're not there yet, that E's still got to go in. Right, that would kind of be consistent with this 1, 2, 3 going in, 4, and there's one more push down. So it's, right, if you want to make the assumption here that the E is in, you're really playing that off of the fact that you've got a reaction here at the 50 and you've got this prior resistance coming into play for some support. So again, as I look at that, that's far enough away that, again, if I were trading this right now, I would keep the stop right below that pivot. I wouldn't ride it down. So I'd be just under that pivot. Where's my target up here? So there's your 12 to 1. I want to be tight on that low because if it takes it out, if it goes, I'll take the small stop. I'm not going to do this right now. I'm taking it to 3.7 to 1. I'd rather go in here, try and be precise with it. If I take the stop, it's no problem. Not going to ruin my day. It's just a small loser, just a little jab, as I like to use that analogy. If you get in the ring, you're going to get hit. You can't walk into the ring and say, oh man, God, I can't believe I got stopped out. What's going on? You get used to it. You're going to get stopped out all the time. You're certainly going to get stopped out more times than you're not. So if you're in this trade, take the jab. Take the jab. Reload. Wait, if it's going to come down here, same risk reward profile. Are we going to the 618? Okay, that's fine. We had a hell of a 3. So to go that deep, I don't love it. I like it better at the 50, but if we're going to go down this far, it's certainly, again, take the Elliott out of it. What have you got? You got a pivot high to you got a pivot low to a pivot high. You're coming into the golden zone. Again, why would you not take that trade? But my broader point here is if you're going to take the first one, or if you really, are just a diehard bull, take a small bite right here. If you're going to allow for that, right? If you're going to trade the market and you say, okay, well, I'm going to be on the other side of the 65. No reason to load the boat fully here. Just a small bite here, appetizer size, as I like to say. It's a little appetizer here. If it goes, great. I got plenty of opportunity to add along the way, because if I come out of here, there's going to be a retracement. So it might even come here and then start the retracement from there. So you're coming down. Now you're back here at this upper sloping channel, potentially here. So now you get your 2. You get your chance to buy it here. So again, if you get stopped out or if you miss it, no need to panic. Just, oh, okay, well, where's the next retracement? And does that retracement make sense in the context of where my analysis would suggest that we're going, which is up here? So does that make sense? Yeah, why would you not buy that? Right? So here, if you take that one, now you can be precise on that. So now you're going to put your stop under here if that's our pivot, right? And you're not sure, you don't catch it, whatever. If this becomes the next retracement, well, you can take this right here, stop under that pivot, right? We're going to be a little down here. Well, there's 7 to 1. Nothing wrong with that. Right? And that gives us an opportunity to complete in the 5. And if this starts to move, so if you were, again, I'm hypothetical here, to get that push, so you've got a 1, 2, you're in the 3rd of the 5th. Well, now that requires that there's a 4. You're not going to go 1, 2 straight. You're going to get a little pullback here, and that takes you there. So if you miss this one, you got an opportunity to buy the 2. Miss the 2, you got an opportunity to buy the 4. Now, the best one is the 2 to the 3. That's the big wave. That's the one you want to try and catch. So this would be the 3rd of the 5th of the 3rd. Right? Do you see if I put all that together? Right? So this would be 1, 2, the 3rd of the 5th of the 3rd. All right? Again, I know it's... the point of Elliott Wave is that it allows us to organize and label and play probabilities here. It's not always right. It's not always there. But when it is there, it does give you an advantage. As I will often tell you, it's not a requirement to be successful trading, but it's useful. It's worth knowing it. But I wouldn't say it's the only methodology that allows you to identify where you are in the market. Are we trending? We keep it simple. Got a swing low to a swing high. I'm buying the 50, right? I know algos are going to buy it there. That's simple. Well, I'm trying to establish here a new trend. Right now, I'm making lower lows. I've got lower highs and lower lows trending down. Are we correcting? Are we correcting this big move? Well, I'm anticipating that I'm going to correct it, and I'm going to correct it with a series of lower lows and lower highs. At what point does that switch? So you could say that way. You want to think 1, 2? Well, you think, okay, what point do I get a higher low and a higher high? You want to keep it simple. Want to keep the Elliott Wave out of it. That is certainly something you can just work with the trend lines here. You got a traditional pattern here. You're at a 50. Again, why would you not buy that? Are you waiting for the golden zone? Well, you can get left behind here if you don't buy the 50. That's why often the way to approach it is half your position at the 50 with half in reserves in case we're going to come down and test the 618. Again, it's not ideal from an Elliott perspective to go that deep for a 4. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It does happen. It's lower probability, lower odds. So for example, if you were to come down that low, if you come down there, does that reduce the probability that we get up to this target? Well, in pure Elliott speak, yeah, it does. It does, because you want your ideal zone for a 4th is up here between the 23 and the 38. You're going this deep. Well, now you got to make a judgment call here because you're beyond the context of where a typical, the probabilities imply that a 4th can go. That it reduces the probability of getting up to make new highs. And again, algorithm doesn't care about the Elliott count. So an algorithm's going to buy it. Well, they're going to buy the 50. They're going to defend at the 618. So they'll continue to buy here until you get the break of the 65. And then, as I've shown this many times, all they're going to do is they're going to let that bottom wherever it comes. It could be right here. If it bottoms here, then they're going to take the next 50. Right? Do you understand that? That's a big distinction that I have to review with people all the time. It's not that they flip to go short here. They would let this thing pivot wherever the pivot comes. We don't know. I'm just hypothetical. If they take that, if that pivots down here, so would that technically be a 4? Yeah, would. We didn't violate the 1, still a 4. But the odds of getting a new high have been reduced because of the depth of the retracement. Deeper than statistical probability would imply if we looked at a million wave counts on on every time frame you can imagine, whether we're talking about time-based, tick-based, range-based. If you looked at a million wave counts, the probability of getting up to challenge that high reduced because of the depth of the retracement. So here, the point I'm trying to make is what the algos are going to do if that's our pivot. They're just going to, so let me take some of this off so you can see it. So if that comes into play, so all they're going to do now is take that swing high to whatever the swing low is. They're going to wait for the next 50. So if it starts to come up, they're going to get right there, and that's where they're going to sell it. Right? Just as they do on the way down, with that as their target. That's what I mean by algos flipping. Flipping. It's not that they stop and reverse here. They get out of the market and they wait, and the next thing that'll do, again, there's not only one algorithm here. I'm just telling you there's a group of traders here that will be positioned to sell this. Again, they won't do it. Software will do it. They'll sell it with that as their target. If it gets through the 65, then again they flip. What does that mean? That does not mean that they stop and reverse and go long here. It means that if that gets up here, right, then all they're going to do is take the next 50. So if this is the pivot down here, again, I'm hypothetical here. If that's the pivot and that's the pivot swing, then let me take this off so we don't get confused here. Then the next thing they're going to do is wait for the next 50. With this as their target, right? They're going to do that. That's what the software is written to do. Right? If it goes deeper than that, they'll continue to buy right up to the 618. And they'll defend it. So they'll put a portion of their position at the 50 and an additional buying power here at the 618, looking for that as the target. Right? And if it breaks, then the whole series begins again. Right? If we break here, then it's the same thing. Then they do the same thing again. Then they take the next 50 going up. Right, next 50 from wherever that break is, and eventually, they get on the right side of it and they get their target. So to play that through, this is what that looks like. They sell it here, 50, 618, and they get that target. Sooner or later, they get it. Always, 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 always. All right, guys, that's a wrap there. Just a reminder here, TradeDevils.com if you want to learn more about our monthly membership, what we offer there, what we're doing. We do everything from the private members Discord, one-on-one coaching, a lot of ways that we can help you if you're interested in this methodology. So give us a visit, TradeDevils.com. Otherwise, that'll wrap it for me here.